works, you play. MiniWarGaming's Beat the Cooler Bat Rep!
Hey there, MiniWarGamers. We are here to bring you another Warhammer 40k battle report. This time we've got 1,500 points of Imperial Guard up against the Tau Empire. And guess who's not playing Tau? So stay tuned, we're going to show you the armies, then we'll show you the deployment. We haven't rolled off for what game type we're doing, but I'll show you that as well just after we show the armies. Here is my Imperial Guard, 1,500 points. Commissar with a power axe and plasma pistol. Unit of 10 veterans with 2 meltas, a heavy flamethrower, and a rocket launcher in a Chimera. Same thing in a Chimera. 2 battle tanks, 2 battle tanks, 3 battle tanks. Right. Fire Warriors with a sergeant.
Fire Warrior Sergeant. Fire Warrior Sergeant. Shadow Sun with 2 bodyguards with 2 meltas and stimulant injectors. Commander with 2 flamers, the command and control node, the multi-spectrum suit, pure tide chip, stimulant injector, and I think that's it. And then 3 missile crisis suits, or 3 crisis suits with 2 missiles each.
Okay. And 2 Riptides with
ionic
meltas.
accelerator and the melta fusion.
Yep.
And then
Hammerhead.
with long strike upgrade, disruption pods, railgun.
There you go. Here we are deployed. We are doing Purge the Alien, so it's kill points. I have a slight advantage, but
as far as the rulebook, it looks like that is the right way. I just have never done it that way.
Here we are.
Instead of unit by unit. So
That is definitely prep.
yeah.
woo, I have first turn so far.
Seize the initiative!
Oh, thank goodness. Alright, so here we have Imperial Guard turn 1, and we start off, I reposition my tanks, trying to get in a better position so I can start firing away, as well as staying far enough away from Shadow Sun and her little friends so that they can't kill me. Unfortunately, I didn't declare that the river was impassable, which is normally how we play on this board, so he did deploy in there, and we didn't change it afterwards. So a lot of his models I'm unfortunately not able to even shoot at if he decides to stay in there. So I start firing off with my battle cannons into his Devilfish, or rather not his Devilfish, his Hammerhead. First one hits, second one still hits, and the third one hits as well, so they just deviate slightly. All 3 of them hit. First one, I need a 5 to glance, I get 2d6, pick the highest. Nothing, nothing, and nothing. There we go, so 3 tanks miss, or fail anyway. Second round, first one hits, second one hits, so once again, 5s to glance, nothing, and the next one, 1 glance. And now he'll get a 4-up cover save, which he fails. So I've got 1 glance on him. He's down to 2. Next 2 tanks. First one hits. Second one hits. So once again, we need 5s to glance. We get 1 glance. And the second one, another glance. So 2 more glances. 2 4+ saves. And he makes 1, and so his tank is fine. So there is 7 basilisks, or not basilisks, 7 Lehman Russ, and could not break it. Fire a crack missile. It hits. It pens. He's got a 4+, and he makes it. So he is fine still. I start firing my multi-laser and heavy bolter into the Riptides, and I get 2 wounds. So he's got a 2+, and he makes them both. And now we move into the Tau turn 1. So first things first, the Riptides jump up. He actually forgot to turn on his reactors, which is unfortunate, but that's not a big deal because it turns out that I don't really have any AP2 guns other than my infantry having a few meltas, so the 2 Riptides are probably gonna kill everything. And then here comes Shadow Sun and her bodyguard because unfortunately behind that little wall there in the river I had no line of sight and couldn't shoot at them. And now here comes the Hammerhead drifting up. He fires off all of his meltas into that squadron and gets 4 hits, 6 is to glance, and he does get a glance, which does 1 hull point. He then starts firing away with his Riptides into my units here, gets 1 hit on the front of my Chimera, and glances it. And I do not make my cover save. And now he fires the second Riptides gun, which hits, and he gets 1 pen. Here we go, I've got a 5+, fail, and it blows up. So he does get first blood right there. All the guys inside, most of them get wounded, and more than half of them die. So there's just a few guys left, the heavy flamethrowers, some meltas, and the commissar who was hanging out inside there. He then fires his railgun at my tanks, which thankfully, well, he brought a long strike, so he has armor or preferred enemy as well as tank hunter against Imperial Guard, and so he gets to reroll pretty much everything. These guys are doing their assault moves, and he was a little bit cocked there, and the new rule is that if the dice isn't flat on the table, then you reroll what you get. And so now he's doing his assault moves, jumps into the terrain, which does mean he'll have to take a dangerous, and we are treating these as ruins. They are not wrecks, it's a ruin. The land speeder as well as the land raider, as far as cover saves are concerned. The other Riptide, it moves 12 inches, flying straight forward, trying to get closer to me because I can't really stop him at all. And then this Riptide, he only gets about 5, which slides him across the wall. So here we are at the end of turn 1. Unfortunately, I could not get first blood, but he did, and blew up that Chimera, which got him first blood. They did not get pinned, and now we've bad news all around. And so we've got Shadow Sun hanging out in the trees, or the ruins rather. And here we go, Imperial Guard turn 2. So they're gonna stay still, but then I realized that it doesn't matter either way. So these guys are moving through cover, just trying to get closer towards Shadow Sun, and I'm thinking I'm going to charge her, because I think my Commissar with his power axe can take on, or at least the Commissar with his little bodyguard there can take on a bunch of battlesuits in close combat, and if nothing else, it'll keep them from shooting. This tank does not get immobilized and drives off, trying to wrap around the corner there, because if I can move up and start shooting through that window, or at least be in a position that I can fire at those Riptides, then we'll be better off, because I'll have Meltas. These tanks, I decided to move, because I remembered that I can't shoot my other guns anyway, even if I fire my battle cannons, or at least I'll snap fire, so it doesn't matter whether I move or stay still. I get 1 hit and 1 wound, and then the Commissar gets a hit and a wound, so we did 3 wounds altogether. 2 of them are instant death. So here comes the instant death 2-up saves, which he passes, and the other one, which he passes. Now firing more battle cannon shots at the tank, which is a hit. And then the second one is also a hit, and then 2d6, pick the highest, 5s to glance. I get 1 glance, and that's it. So he fails a save, and that gets wrecked. So we were able to wreck him, and that tank is destroyed, and that is the end of Longstrike and his tank killing ways. But it's unfortunate because it's too little too late, and he's already got first blood, but at least I got a kill point. And now, here we are. I'm deciding whether I want to shoot my heavy bolters or my battle cannons, and I decide to shoot the heavy bolters, but I end up missing a ton of shots anyway, and I still only get 1 wound. So he gets a 2+, and he fails it, so I do a wound. Here we go. Now I'm firing my multi-laser, which hits and fails to wound, and then snap firing my heavy bolter, which does a wound, so he's got a 2+, which he passes. And now I'm firing battle cannons at Shadow Sun and her little bodyguards here. 1 hit, and the next one moves 3 inches, which still hits 1. So we get 4 hits altogether, 2 wounds, and he's got 2 2+, which he fails 1, and it instant kills that battle suit. They pass their leadership check though, and they're alright, so I now decide that I'm going to try and charge. He gets to Overwatch, he does hit with 1, and does do a wound, which instantly kills the closest model. They try and charge. I need a 6, and I get a 5, and so they don't get to go in close combat. Here we are rolling for the Tau reserves, and none of the Fire Warriors come in, but the battlesuits with the commander do, and they happen to have the strategic trait that they do not deep strike, or they don't scatter on the deep strike. Turning on the reactors, he gets a wound on the first guy, and the second one we re-roll it so you can see what's going on, which they do not wound. And he decides that he's going to overcharge his gun. And so these guys are still moving forward, advancing towards my tanks, which is bad news for my tanks, seeing as they basically can't protect themselves. And Shadow Sun and her little bodyguards come out, rolling for dangerous. They're fine, and now they shoot their Meltas at the front of my tank, which 3 of them miss, but he does get 2d6 pen against the other guy. He needs a 6, a 7 to pen, and he fails. No damage done by Shadow Sun to a tank. Good thing she has all those Meltas. Now he decides that he's going to shoot the back of this tank with the battle suits that have missile pods, and He does get to re-roll it, thanks to the fact that he's got his battle suit with the CNC and multi-tracker. But he does miss anyway. Now he's got a glance on 3s. And he rolls pretty bad. 1 glance, 1 pen, 2 pens. So he decides that he's going to put the glance on it, on the second one. Or the first one, either way, it doesn't matter. First one does not get destroyed, but it gets immobilized and loses another hull point. And then the second explosion wrecks it, doesn't matter what he rolls. So that is the end of one of my tanks. 3 glances, or at least 3 effective glances. It didn't explode, that's all that matters. His gun does not get hot as he fires off into my unit of tanks, hitting all 3. Which does 1 glance, and now he's firing his Melta. Which gets a pen. And blows up the front tank. So that is the end of that tank. And then he is then glanced. Thanks to the shots. Here we go. He does not get hot with his other tank shooting. Fires another shot now. And hits. He gets 2d6 pen because he has the overcharge on it, which does a pen, and the second one. Or 2d6, pick the highest pen. And he gets the other one. So 2 pens, get a cover save on a 5+. I make it, and another cover save on a 5+, which I don't. So 1 pen against this guy. 4, so I lose a weapon. 4+ for the turret, and it's not the turret. So I lose the little machine gun and go down to 1 hull point left on that tank. These guys in the back, they end up doing their assault moves, so they move 9 inches, and he decides that he's going to tuck his way back into the corner. His commander, of course, has iridium armor, so he'll have a 2-up save and won't get instant killed by the battle cannons, but unfortunately for the rest of his unit, if any battle cannons hit them, then that's it for those battle suits. It's just a matter of whether or not I can kill his commander, who has a relatively good save, and is being teamed up with Riptides. Shadow Sun and her little posse, they jump 9 inches, clearing the ruins and standing behind them, just so it's that much harder for me to charge. The Riptides then get to move. The first one moves 6, and then the one that's right up close to me gets to move 9. And so he moves up, getting ready to assault those 2 tanks, which will be the end of them. And so I take my guys with the Meltas and the Commissar with the Plasma and start heading back the other way, because I had pre-measured it, and I was able to get just barely in range and shoot that Riptide. Now I was debating whether I wanted my Commissar to go as well, and finally I do decide to attack him, or attach him with the unit and go forward. This tank does not get immobilized and moves over, getting in a position so that it can take shots at the Riptide, as well as shoot its front guns at the battle suits. These 2 tanks, they back up, of course, trying to get in a better position, and seeing as it makes no difference to their shooting, because they're already going to snap fire the other gun anyway. This tank tries to move and gets immobilized, does not take the hull point though. Or no, he does take the hull point anyway, sorry. It was, if it gets hot, you can negate it on a 4+, is from what I understand. Firing away with Meltas and Plasma. I get 2 wounds with my Meltas, and he does take 1 wound, so he's down to another wound, or down another wound. I fire 2 Meltas from the back of this Chimera and get 2 wounds. And then a bunch of lasguns go for it, pitter patter. 6s to wound, they do get 1. So 1 2+ and 2 5-ups. Fails another one and makes his 2+. And now he's got 1 wound left. I'm firing my multi-laser, which hits twice, wounding on 4s. I get 1 more wound. He's got to make another 2+, which he passes. I decide I'm going to fire my tanks at him. I really don't want to, but I do it anyway. Battle cannon misses, and the heavy bolter gets 1 hit on its snapfire, which does nothing. And that's it. I then fire my battle cannon backwards. It scatters 2 inches, and so it lands right in the middle of all 4. Getting 4 hits, wounding on 2s, and once again I roll 2 1s. So I get 2 wounds on his commander, who takes both of the saves, because otherwise it would be instant death. The next tank turns around, fires the one that got immobilized, gets a direct hit as well, also hitting 4, wounding on 2s, and I again roll 2 1s. So that's like the 4th time in a row no, it's the 3rd time in a row it's happened. But anyway, he gets 1 killed and passes his leadership check. I then try and charge him, which he does get a hit with his big gun, and then his Melta hits as well, which also does a wound, so I lose 2 guys, and I end up failing my charge anyway, so there goes another 2 guys in my unit. And they at least pass their leadership check so they don't break. We roll for the Fire Warriors, another group shows up, and then another group at the far corner shows up as well. Shadow Sun and her battlesuit jump up, once again landing in the ruins, and then the tank here moves up as well. The battlesuits in the back rank, they pass their leadership, so they still function normally, and the Riptide moves up here as well. So we start firing. He's got the Fire Warriors shooting into the back of my tanks, glancing on 5s, penning on 6s. He gets 2 pens and a glance. The first pen doesn't do anything, but the second one blows it up, and then he's got 1 more glance, which finishes off the other tank, so he destroys all of that squadron with Fire Warriors. Riptide tries to shoot his Melta at the other tank there, which does hit, does get a pen, and +2 makes it a 5, so he is just immobilized. He fires his other gun, which gets a hit, and fails to pen. So he is still alive. Next, Riptide fires as well, and it misses with all of its shots. And now Shadow Sun is going to try and take shots at my tank, which gets 3 hits and no glances. He then fires his battlesuits into the back of these 2 tanks, which unfortunately won't get cover because he ignores my cover. But he does reroll to hit as well, so that's why he'll get to actually hit me with this attack instead of just the 1 hit. Rerolls definitely make the difference, as he then gets 4 glances and or pens, which basically destroys the rest of this unit. So there goes all but 1 of my battle tanks in 1 turn. And now he's deciding that he's going to assault my tank. I overwatch with my Meltas, which miss, and then I overwatch with a rocket and 2 las guns. 1 las gun hits and fails to wound, so he does get to make the assault, which he easily makes, and with his 1 wound gets to go and engage my tank. Does a smash, automatically pens. So what does it do? 6 blows up. Did not wound him. He rolls to wound the guys inside, and he of course gets all of them, and I fail a good number of saves, but I made more than average there. He then gets to do his assault moves, and he moves his commander back, heading towards the corner that he was in before, now that my Meltas are on the prowl. And he gets to jump these guys, moving 7 inches with his Riptide. The Commissar and the other guy move back once again, seeing if we can go after Shadow Sun, because I really don't like her wandering around now, seeing as my tanks are no longer distracting her. My Meltas get 2 hits and 2 wounds, and so he's got to make 2 5-ups, which he promptly fails, and that is the end of the first Riptide. Those 2 take shots at Shadow Sun, but the Commissar gets hot and makes his 5-up invuln. The Melta fails to wound. Firing a battle cannon at the Fire Warriors that just blew up the other squadron, which hits basically, and then it's all but 2 of them actually get hit by the explosion, which does a lot of wounds, and now he's got a 5-up cover save thanks to some intervening models, and 4 of them get killed. So he'll have to do a leadership on an 8, which he passes, and he's fine. I decide that I'm going to try an assault. He gets his overwatch, but I need a 5, and I roll a 4. So once again, I fail by 1. The Tau turn begins. He jumps forward with his Meltas. He does get at a dangerous terrain, but he passes his armor save. These battlesuits move up, getting ready to get in position to kill everything over there, seeing as if he decides to shoot at my Fire Warriors, I won't get saves. Or Fire Warriors, my Imperial Guardsmen. And now over here, he's got, of course, his other squadron and his Riptide moving up. He shoots with his Meltas. 3 of them hit, wounding on 2s. Kills the first guy outright. Splat. And my Commissar's got to make 2 5+s, which he fails. And he made 1, but he fails, so he instant killed. Now he fires his Melta at the front of my tank, which is of course twin linked, so he gets a hit, and then 2d6 pen. I've got to try and make my cover save, which he rolled the damage at first, but I do get a cover save, or it dies, so here we go. Nope. So that is the end of yet another Imperial Guard tank. He then fires his rockets into my guys who are hanging out in cover there, but thankfully for him, he ignores my cover, rerolls to hit and wounds on 2s, and instant kills. So, here we go. Splat. There are 6, so that is the end of that unit. They are destroyed, and at that point, I've been tabled. Okay, and that is the game. Handshake! And it was a crushing defeat for the Imperial Guard. They killed a total of, I think, 4 models. 4 models altogether.
No, 6. You killed 4
Oh,
fire
the fire
warriors,
warriors, yeah.
tank, and 1.
2 of the battle suits.
Oh, no, 8 then. 2 battle suits.
Oh, yeah.
4.
Anyway, yeah, got smashed. Lack of AP2 weapons totally killed me. Next time, going back to the artillery, bringing all, what are they called? Medusas. But, yeah, so leave a comment below. Let me know what you would have done differently other than not brought all battle cannons. And stay tuned for future battle reports. Happy Wargaming. And to see me try and redeem myself using my Tau army, click the link below. It'll bring you over to the MiniWarGaming website where you can sign up for a 7-day free trial, get instant access to the MiniWarGaming vault. Happy Wargaming.